Everybody, please have a seat. Thank you. So glad to see you all here. It's just wonderful to have this room full. It should be, because this is a rare opportunity for all of us. Thank you all for coming. My name is John Hamry. I'm the president of the CSIS, but it's a real privilege to have you here, but really to welcome President Marcos. He's had a remarkable visit. I've been watching the news, and it's just been really a standout visit, and I think we're all very glad for that. You know, there's such a unique relationship between our two countries. It's very personal. It's bottom up. About 3 years ago, I spent a fair amount of time in a series of hospitals, and at every step of the way, there was a Filipino that was helping me. The emergency room, the ICU, the hematologists, the nurses, the doctors. And it wasn't just that they were healthcare professionals. It's that they brought a buoyancy of spirit that's so typical of the Philippines. You know, it made me want to get well because I wanted to live up to the generosity that they were expressing for me. It was marvelous and a great, great thing. You know, we've had choppy relations between our two countries through the years. My friend Henry Howard is here. Henry was instrumental in returning the Balalinga Bell. You say to most Americans, they don't know what you're talking about, right? No American knows what that means. Every Filipino knows what that is. We took a bell from a Catholic church as a war trophy, you know? And it took 100 years, I think, to get it back. You know, Henry, thank you for doing that. But it's emblematic of the unevenness we've had between our two countries. We're right now entering a remarkably positive period of time because of President Marcos. He is bringing new dynamism to this relationship. And we see each other now in ways where we need each other at a modern time. And it's a wonderful thing. So it's a privilege for all of us. This is his last big event before he leaves tonight. So he's giving us the privilege of talking with him and then also getting his insights from his really very successful visit in Washington. So with your very warm applause, would you please welcome to the stage President Ferdinand Marcos.
I get a special Filipino footstool. So thank you for such thoughtfulness. Thank you very much for the kind introduction from Mr. John Hamry, the President and CEO of CSIS and the other CSIS officials. We have with us the Speaker of our House of Representatives, Speaker Martin Romualdez. Also with us is our Foreign Secretary, Secretary Ricky Manalo, and our ambassador who cannot wait to see our plane leave. She has been working on this trip for a year. And I think that we owe him a pat on the back for the very good work, the groundwork that he has put in for us to have, for us to be able to say that at the very least, this visit has been a most constructive and meaningful one. I was just speaking inside before we came out, and we were talking about the trip, and I said, generally speaking, there is a tendency sometimes when we have these official visits or state visits where you make these declarations and pronouncements which are very general and what we refer to as motherhood statements. We have on this trip, that has not been the case at all. We have gone into a remarkable amount of detail in terms of the establishment and the strengthening and deepening of relations between the U.S. and the Philippines. I am lucky, however, that these arrangements and these agreements have come about because we have such a very strong foundation of our relationship. And now here we are, the CSIS, one of the world's foremost policy institutions on national security and foreign policy issues, and have been a great partner in highlighting the Philippines to its American and, of course, international audience. Just 2 weeks ago, our Foreign Affairs Secretary stood before you to provide his perspectives, our perspectives, on the Philippines' deep bilateral ties with the United States, as well as our country's place in the Indo-Pacific and in the world. Today, I would like to delve into what I think our two countries and peoples have been and will continue to be naturally drawn to each other. I dare say that in a similar vein, the future of the United States will hold more promise if the U.S. works closely, hand in hand, shoulder to shoulder, in lockstep with the Philippines. The answer is simple and more fundamental even than our almost 72 years of treaty alliance. What truly binds our two countries and peoples is our shared value and our commitment to mutual prosperity. In May last year, a record 56 million Filipinos exercised their right to vote. True to our roots as the first Asian republic, we showed the world once again that the Philippines remains a bastion of freedom in the Asia-Pacific. When I came into office in July last year, I promised to uphold these same values to ensure that democracy delivers for every Filipino, especially while we still reel from the lingering effects of the pandemic and the ripple effects of even the crisis in Ukraine and to the Philippines and to the global economy. My father once said, "Of what good is democracy if it is not for the poor?" He was absolutely right. I'm quite certain that you will all agree that this is the very same principle behind the Biden-Harris administration's national and foreign policies. Our two countries are drawn to each other because we recognize that in order to achieve our common goal of peace and prosperity for our peoples, we need to work with like-minded partners. It is therefore not surprising that over the past 20 months, in particular, our two countries have seen a steady exchange of official engagements at all levels of government. This includes my first meeting with President Biden on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly in New York, and this visit, the first by a sitting Philippine president to the United States in over 10 years. I do not know quite how that developed that way, as that has not been the case in the past, but we are back on our normal road of partnership, working together hand in hand. Together with our most senior cabinet officials, President Biden and I had frank and open discussions on where we are in our bilateral relationship and where we want our alliance and our partnership to bring us, particularly in terms of addressing the most pressing challenges confronting our two countries today. We noted that the food, water, and energy crises, climate change, terrorism, transnational organized crime, they have all become enormous and complex challenges, not only for the smaller countries such as the Philippines, but even for the large countries and great powers like the United States. We are grappling with both new and traditional threats to our people's security, nowhere more acutely felt than in the Indo-Pacific region. And the Philippines sits squarely at the heart of the Indo-Pacific region. It is for this reason that I called for evolving our alliance to make it more responsive to present and emerging challenges. It is because national security is no longer simply about territorial defense. Economic security is national security. After some fits and starts in the nearly 125 years since its independence, the Philippines is poised to achieve upper middle income status in 1 or 2 years' time. We are projected